What's up, everybody? I'm Chippewa, and today we are going to be building a BQE Bandolero. A little project done between Vortex and Bill at BQE, and I have the 6-inch version. I had to buy this as soon as I saw it. I knew I wanted it. After seeing Bill on the Hot Dog FPV live show on YouTube on Thursday nights, I decided I had to get it at that time. So we are going to build it. So let's see what we got in here. Screws and standoffs. Got our carbon fiber, Bandolero top plate right there, nice thick carbon. Got the nice bottom plate, BQE on there, nice thick. Got the very nice 3D printed parts that Bill personally prints himself, from what I can remember him saying on the show. I love this trunk. It's pretty cool. I like the color. I like that see-through, that clear there. Alright. Let's get into this build. First, we're going to separate our screws, which we have 4 sets of, and 3 sets of standoffs. We have 4 15mm screws, 10 12mm screws, 7 10mm screws, 8 8mm screws, and 2 4mm screws for the camera. Now we have standoffs, which are 2 30mm standoffs that go to the GoPro mount to hold the GoPro mount to the 3D printed GoPro mount. Then we have 2 15mm standoffs that go to the front of the frame that hold the 3D printed camera mounts. And then we have 6 10mm standoffs for the rest of the frame. Alright, let's get started. First, take our bottom plate. This is the front. Got the bottom cut off for the camera. Nice BQE cut out inside there. And from what Vortex said, and from what I do with my builds, so I'll start by putting these screws in. And for the arms, we are going to be using, for the outside, 2 outside screw holes on all 4 of the arms. We'll be using the 12mm screws. Then take our plate. Helps sandwich. It's got the sink nuts in there already. From what I can remember, Bill personally does this himself too right now, unless he's got some help. But put these on. This goes like this. This part curved right here, that is the front. So I'll just line these up. Now, you don't want to tighten them down all the way, so it's loose enough where you can get the other arms in there. And when you're putting the arms in, you want to make sure the tips here are facing forward in the front, and then facing towards the rear in the rear. Alright, now we got the arms on there. Not fully tight, but I'll take care of that towards the end of the build. And how about now we go ahead and we'll put the trunk on here. Now with the trunk, I use 3 of the 10mm screws. And here, and these 2 back screws will go all the way through the frame. And then you can attach your 10mm standoff to that. And this middle one has a sink nut on it. Screw that all the way up. I don't know what I'm going to put in my trunk yet. Maybe a roach. I don't know. Got that. Then I suppose we could put in the 4 15mm screws, and these go right here on the inner hole for the arm, and these will go all the way up through the frame, through those sink nuts in there, and that's where the rest of your 4 10mm standoffs will be attached to. Now, for the sake of time, I didn't put any Loctite on any of these bottom screws going into the sink nuts. I'll probably go back and I might do it. I don't know. I haven't been doing it for quite a while, and sometimes my quad does come back with some loose bottom screws, but you know, that's why you carry an allowance, right? Nice. Alright, so we will take our 6 10mm standoffs we have and start attaching those. And those go on the 2 rear screws and the 4 middle ones right outside your flight controller area. And we're going to take 2 more of our 10mm standoffs. And we're going to put those in the front of the frame. And this is where we're going to put our 15mm standoff. And then we are going to take our two front 3D printed parts for the camera. And these are designed to fit every size camera, big to micro. Push it down there. I'm not sure if you want to run the big one, you put this one over here, or if you want to run the micro and the smaller ones, you put that one over there. But since I am waiting on a micro eagle that buddy Verby got a deal on, so I'm going to put them like this. Now, when you go to put the top plate on, you'll notice that there's a gap back here, like Vortex says in this video that you see back here. Yeah, he's wondering what the hell I'm doing. I don't know. I'm just trying to follow your video, man. So yeah, you got this gap right here, and that is going to be taken by these 3D printed parts. Now we have one that you just zip tie your antenna to, run a longer antenna, like Vortex says. You can run a longer antenna, have it sticking out here, you know, you run your zip ties and zip tie it down, and that will go like so in here. But I have been running a stubby antenna, so I'm going to use this, which allows it to run a stubbier antenna or a longer one, like he says, you know, whatever you want to do. Just runs out at a 45-degree angle on the frame there. So turn this around. Fits nice and snug. Put that right down on the standoff because it has little grooves for them to fit right on, which is very nice. And then for the rear, we have 4 8mm screws that go in the 4 very rear spots on the top plate. Right, we're almost here, almost finished now. Now we have our 3D printed top mount here, and this is where you're going to put the two 30mm standoffs, and those are going to go right in here. So those will go in there. First, got to put it inside 3D printed GoPro mount, which was designed by BMC 3D, and it is a nice looking 3D printed mount. Front opens up here, so you can get your GoPro in there and it snaps down in there. It's really nice looking. It's got the BQE. So that is where this goes, and this is where I decided to put the last 4 remaining 8mm screws. I wasn't quite sure where to put every single screw, so I mocked it up before this video to figure it out, and this is the best I could come up with what I thought the placement was. So if I am doing this wrong, please somebody let me know so I can put the screws in the right spot. But that's how I felt that they were meant to go. So alright, so now we have that. So the last thing for us to do is mount this on top, and I am mounting or using the last 2 12mm screws for the front, because you got a thick layer 3D printed part right here, then you have the frame, and then you have a little bit of gap before where that standoff is inside of this 3D printed part, just a little bit. So the screws got to be long enough to reach right down enough. And I am using, I saw in Vortex's video, these don't come with the build, but if you have some or can get some, I recommend using them. Put these on the screws that are going to be on top of the 3D printed mount for the GoPro, and that will help prevent any crashes, the GoPro mount ripping through the screws, because it's got a little bit more of a surface area. So I am using these to help with that. And then we have our last 2 10mm screws, which will be used for the back half of the GoPro mount. All right, and there you have it. The BQE Bandolero, made by VORT3X and Bill from BQE. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this frame, and this is the 6-inch version. If you guys are wondering if I didn't say that, this is the 6 inches. This is my first one, so I'm gonna try out this little extra stability, see how it goes with my flow. Pretty sure I'm gonna like it. But I just want to say thank you to VORT3X for thinking up of this frame, and Bill from BQE for also helping design this frame. I've been waiting for a frame like this for a while. I knew something I wanted. And I like that it's X frame. I prefer X for freestyle over any other kind. Just feels more natural. Truer X. So once again, thank you, VORT3X, Bill, Hot Dog FPV, for having Bill on BQE. A shit show, UFDA shit show for BQE.ioing it up all the time. Remember, kids, thick earth.